When writing an alluring story, a pivotal role is a solid cast. A cast can quite literally make or break and shapes the overall story you want to portray. Through the cast, we see the world the author wants us to view. The four protagonists in the Hunter x Hunter are perfectly written for a story, such as Hunter x Hunter. All four view different aspects and themes of the Hunter world. Gon, Killua, Leorio, and Kurapika, their external and internal conflicts are all problems people face in today's world. However, even in this story, the main four aren't our exclusive point of views in the story. We have seen through the eyes of many characters in the story, such as Hisoka, Jin, Chrollo, and even Saraynik. I feel like many stories suffer from loss of identity when a certain character is not present in the story. Hunter x Hunter adaptability allows it to portray the role of key players throughout many characters. However, I want to focus on the original four of the story: Gon, Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio. What they represent and how they coincide with each other. Their overall design and motives, in my opinion, they are like the perfect cast. For being with each other for a little time, their relationship is well written and extremely natural. I kind of want to talk about Togashi's talent at creating characters that also mesh well with each other. Characters who naturally bounce off each other and supply where the other demands. Also how characters change while going through the course of the story. In this video, I kind of want to explain and discuss the overall importance of Hunter x Hunter's main four and relevance to the story and how they were created. So a good place to start off, I think, would be the main protagonist, Gon Freecss. Hello, my name is Gojins, and I have a lot to talk about and cover my bases, so let's jump into it. First, I need to explain why these characters are perfectly written, why they work so well by the end of the video. So what better way to start off with the very first character we are introduced to, Gon Freecss. A brief summary of Gon is a 12-year-old boy from Whale Island, secluded from the rest of the world. In a brief encounter with a hunter named Kite, he learns that his father is still alive and is a hunter. He then sets out to become a hunter to find Jin, his dad, as well as taking a hunter exam. His personality is somewhat of a protagonist, but with many of the characteristics of a child, like acting impulsive and extremely curious to the point where people consider him dangerous. We're seeing a thin line between good and bad, not necessarily a typical good boy main character. You see, when Togashi was creating Hunter x Hunter, he said that he wanted to make his next one a hit, since the latter half of Yu Yu Hakusho. Togashi said in an interview that I started paying really close attention to the reader polls instead of just focusing on my own ranking. I would look at them, zeroing in on which artist and story were number one. Analyzing those polls made me realize in order to get voters, I'd have to do a sports manga or a battle manga, which have clear winners and losers, so I decided a battle manga would be good for my next one. He started Hunter x Hunter in a way, a die-hard battle manga with a deep story that reflected his own personality. Gon may look innocent, but will never waver in a fight, showing his ultimate braveness to the readers. At first, I wanted to make Gon into a good boy, sort of a character you would rank high as someone you want as your son. But I guess the setting of the first volume to be serialized, I knew he was different. As soon as he declares he'll abandon the one who raised him to work as a hunter, we realize he's not such a good boy after all. I thought, man, this guy is really edgy. But since he has the blood of his father, a man who abandoned his child to become a hunter himself, I thought it was fitting for him to declare this. I thought he was a very natural character. He says making the hero into an edgy character fit well with the direction of the story. If he was a level-headed character instead of an edgy one, I'd have to deal with the aspect of hesitation when it comes to fighting battles. I suppose going in that direction could be fun in its own way, but I didn't want that trait to take the forefront of this manga. After all, I couldn't abandon the readers who want to read a good battle manga. I'm glad I decided to make a character like Gon into the protagonist, since I didn't have to deal with that hesitation aspect, but at the same time, I couldn't leave out the calm, level-headed character either. So that's the personality I gave to Leorio. I take that Togashi says as wanting to create a character that could adapt to his style of kind of impulse writing while maintaining the forefront of a battle manga. I think that is why I find Gon so similar to Yusuke. Of course, we know the cast from Yu Yu Hakusho is clearly a direct reference to Hunter x Hunter. For example, the two characters, Hiei and Kurama, were two characters that would not fall back in terms of popularity to the protagonist, Yusuke, contributing to the many reasons why the manga was a success. Allowing more characters to shine brighter than your main protagonist allows readers to be more in tune with the story. Even Killua and Kurapika tend to be more popular with readers than Gon. I don't see this as a bad thing, rather it shows how well written a cast is. Stories with main characters that really outshine the rest of the cast leads to a linear path with minimal flexibility in the story. Readers will not engage with the rest of the cast as they do the protagonist. Now I think that's enough about Gon. Next is Killua, a 12-year-old boy who is a part of the assassin family, the Zoldicks. He's the Zoldyck with the most promise, being the middle child of 5. His differences with his family, especially his older brother, Ilumi, who wants to control of him. He wants freedom and wants to be friends with Gon and be a normal kid, hanging out with his friend. A character who is intimidating is really just a kid at heart. When creating a character, Togashi said, "When deciding on appearance, I refer to my mental inventory of manga, novels, movies, music, historical and cultural figures, entertainers, and athletes that I've seen." In the case of Killua, around the time that I was deciding what number child of assassin family he would be, thoughts of Kurayumi Shonen, Atsushi Kamijo, multiple personality, detective psycho, etc. came to mind, and these led to his appearance. In a full body illustration when he first appeared, there's a part where the outline is interrupted by light, and here you can see my admiration for the artwork of Mr. Kamijo and Mr. Tajima. The most useful reference for personality is placing characters in scenes and situations that I create myself. Although I might have a rough idea of characters, personalities, they often do something different from what I expected when I have them interact with each other in specific situations. For example, even if a character is set up with a strong sense of justice, their position will change depending on the definition of justice and their circumstances. The response to the other person's objection can provide an opportunity to change and supplement their personality and circumstances. Process is the true pleasure of creation and the lifeblood of character formation. If the characters don't agree with the direction after these interactions, then the story's development will change. I also try to include values, beliefs, behavior tendencies, tastes, and preferences that I find difficult to accept in each character so they don't become copies of the author. And Gon is a perfect example of this. I feel like his creation comes from being kind of an opposite sort to Gon. Not all the way opposite, but like circumstances where one recklessly rush into danger and the other would have a level-headed mindset. I feel like the things he could not achieve with Gon, he could apply with the other 3 characters. The character that is probably the most popular character in the story, for good reason too. At the beginning of the story, he's kind of the strongest and a cool heir to him. His reference to Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho both have identical relationships with the protagonist. He kind of seemed like someone with no weakness. That is until Ilumi appeared, allowing for his character that is morally ambiguous to have such a vulnerability as to his cool, normal character. It's also, with his friendship with Gon, is kind of perfect in ways they lack. They carry each other. Next is Kurapika, who I would consider the second main protagonist behind Gon, especially in the York New City arc and the Successor War arc. Kurapika is a 17-year-old boy who is the last surviving member of the Kurta clan, who was massacred for their scarlet eyes by the Phantom Troop. His journey to avenge the Kurta clan and reclaim the stolen eyes of his brethren's corpses. The change in his eyes undergo when anger are kind of a perfect representation of his mental state. Then learning how to control it, he gains better use of control of himself from anger. He wants to be a blacklist hunter to receive information on the Phantom Troop. Out of every protagonist, he is the most determined to reach his goal, even withdrawing his own life. He's also very intelligent and one of the best nin users in the story, utilizing nin in a way to catch up to the pros with significantly less time. Also a character with deep anger for people who murdered his clan, but is troubled with the thought of taking another's life. His character is that of someone who is constantly running towards darkness, but through small encounters with people is slowly pulled back. For a character with similar origin to Gon, with limited knowledge of the outside world, becomes engulfed in more like dark aspects of humanity. I feel like this shift from Gon to Kurapika is used to express Togashi's use of more political or human affairs, plots that cannot work well with Gon as the main view through the arc. Arcs with plenty of characters that have conflicts with their own sections. Kurapika's quick ingenuity and witty deductions are perfect for this setting. He also shares similarity with Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, being intelligent characters who befriended the protagonist. He, in my opinion, is a character ironically chained to the responsibility of avenging his brethren. Even bypassing his disdain for murdering others, he feels responsibility for being the last remaining Kurta member. So, moving on, last but not least, Leorio, a 19-year-old who is in pursuit of a hunter license for his overall dream of becoming a doctor who needs money. His rowdy nature can overshadow his true personality of a calm person who would go so far for his friends. He doesn't want to be a burden and realizes where he lacks. His place in the cast is that of a level-headed character who doesn't want to take risks to the extreme and can keep the cast grounded at times. Out of the four, he has the most realistic take on a human being placed in this type of environment. He's responsible but will go the extra mile for his friends. His connections to Kurapika being people introduced with selfish and greedy personalities, then learning their true nature. The calm-headedness that he could have used for Gon was needed, so he gave the personality to Leorio. His personality in the four is literally essential, even said by Togashi himself. These four all have something in common, and something that cannot be found in one another. This group may seem like a ragtag group of people who have the same goal as the hunter license, but they coincidentally fit each other perfectly. I think Togashi's intention was to create a perfect cast that could be placed in any arc he wanted to write without being unnatural. His idea of a perfect cast is one that can mold a battle manga into that of other genres as well. I feel like Yu Yu Hakusho's cast is amazing but kind of lacks in versatility in a way. I can't see them running an arc without Yusuke, like without Gon. None of them have a standalone arc in the story. The kind of cast and plot that can operate when any character is removed and the identity of the story is still apparent. One of the very first interactions between the cast is the ultimate choice quiz. When posed with the difficult question of where your son and your daughter are kidnapped and you can only save one. Leorio is enraged by the answer because he finds no logic in the answer. Kurapika remains silent by finding the real intent behind the question. Gon places himself in the position and questions what he would do. Their different takes kind of represent to me the balance of ethos, logos, and pathos. Essentially, they represent the three main ways to convince someone in an argument. Leorio finds himself with an emotional response toward the question, placing him towards pathos influencing him emotionally. Kurapika is placed towards logos for using evidence and analysis from the previous contestant. Then Gon is placed towards ethos because of his moral virtue and knowledge and experience. The question more or less is more of a test of character and what humans themselves prioritize. Another interaction I really like is the York New one, where they learn the Phantom Troop fake their death. Kurapika wants to take them on alone, but Gon intervenes and says he wants to be of help to him. Even with the reward on the Phantom Troop gone, he still wants to stop them. Even with the danger of his life being taken, he still nods. While coming up with a strategy, Gon gives the idea of pointing a Nin blade at his heart so that if he gets caught, he will die, not giving no information on Kurapika. To that point, Kurapika explains why he has a blade pointed at his own heart for restriction to gain more powerful Nin. Even after explaining, Gon remains unbothered and asks him once again to point a Nin blade at his heart. Killua Leorio, without hesitation, asks for one as well. Kurapika explains that even if a contract is made, it could kill them prematurely before Pakunoda reads their memories. Gon then asks why did he go through the trouble of telling them in the first place. It was to thank them for the dedication. Even if you were to remove my secret, I will never regret telling you, because I know I've been blessed with good friends. With an expression of kind of relief and happiness, and this tense moment is really amazing. Kurapika, being more closed off and dedicated to revenge, has more light in his face than ever. Even Killua, a person who has portrayed as a careless, gray character, is now willing to risk his life for his friend. Even later in the arc, when Gon and Killua are captured, while Chrollo is captured by Kurapika, the calmness of Chrollo is sustained because he viewed him getting captured as insignificant, because it did not show up in Neon's fortune, and he could tell that his weakness was his precious friends. All of this while provoking Kurapika to identify his weakness. Leorio attempts to calm Kurapika down because they don't have an edge yet, but deep down he understands Kurapika's frustration to the man he swore to kill. He explains that they indeed do not have an edge and are mistaken because as a hostage he has no worth, because the spider was designed to survive even if his head is crushed. He truly believes that he has no worth as a hostage. Chrollo remained calm and prepared for death on this journey he walked. It even sounded like Kurapika was losing this exchange of words. Chrollo read him because, as someone driven by revenge as well, he could accurately detect unexpected weaknesses. Kurapika, much like Pakunoda, is inside of a cramped room and must make a decision. Frollo is confident that Pakunoda will make the right decision because he will surely choose his friend over the mission. Fast forward to when Pakunoda meets up with Kurapika, he is met with a dilemma of the plan failing, because even without the head, the spider remains active. He thinks of a way but stops himself because what he's doing is right. Getting Gon and Killua back is Kurapika's top priority. He doesn't want to lose anyone else. Melody questions why the hostage situation is working because the Phantom Troop were believed to be inhuman criminals with no remorse. But then why was Pakunoda even here? It's because she's just like Kurapika, trying to get her friend back. Pakunoda comes back to the hideout to take Killua and Gon. However, the troop get in the way, following Frollo's ironclad rules. Gon interjects saying that Pakunoda is not being manipulated, she just wants to save her friend back. Frollo believed that everyone in the troop was on the same page. However, similar to Kurapika, the spider had an unexpected weakness as well. Going forward to the end of the arc, Gon and Killua converse about Kurapika's ability being perfect skill for revenge, to chain down not just one solitary opponent. In the beginning, that may have been his objective, but now he's changed. At the auction, we see an interaction between Gon and Killua with Finks and Phaeton. They learn of Pakunoda's death. In a flashback from Pakunoda memories, we see her talking to Gon and Killua. Why don't you run away? Run away? Now that I'm wounded, you wouldn't have a problem running away. If you do that, I'll have nothing left to exchange and your friend will be able to kill the boss. Aren't you kids good friends with him? It's because we're his friends. We don't want him ending up a murder. If the exchange to go is settled, that would be the best choice. Pakunoda was grateful to them. I feel like the gratitude comes from doing something she was not able to. We learned that in the Phantom Troop flashback that Frollo becomes corrupted with revenge and formed the troop as a means to weed out evil. Even still, Pakunoda probably wished for him to be saved, just like Kurapika. Gon and Killua helping Kurapika wasn't meant to kill the troop, rather to help him with a peace of mind. Kurapika never really got his revenge, but still was able to save his friend. His biggest fear was not losing his anger, but losing his friends. Even in the chairman election arc, we get to see Leorio shine in a way to save Gon. He would become the chairman of the Hunter Association. Leorio even fought himself because while Gon was fighting for others, he was studying and drinking around from place to place. Killua was finally able to free Alika from imprisonment because of Gon. Because of his friendship with him, he was able to overcome the needle and fear of his brother. Through that, was finally able to heal Gon from the curse. From Leorio getting so popular within the Hunters Association, was later recruited to be a Zodiac, allowed him to study abroad on the Black Whale and become a doctor. Kurapika not present, but I have no doubt he would drop everything to help Gon. Kurapika was able to put revenge on the back burner, focusing on just reclaiming his clan's eyes for now. Their interactions with each other kind of lifted them. Gon can finally see the world for what it truly is. He can see what type of person his dad was, and through the adventures with his friends, he can appreciate what he has on Whale Island. Big part of their character is what they represent. The broader idea that makes them them. Their identity, you could say, in the group. The intention behind them, if that makes sense. I really want to talk about what they mean to me as a reader. Then how their overall ideas line up with the main motif of Hunter x Hunter. There are themes that complement each other well. First, we should discuss their external and internal conflicts. Gon is a character that internally has many conflicts deriving from his own morals and curiosity and expectation. His morality or beliefs are extremely limited. The ideas he has are open-minded until something comes along and destroys those beliefs. When his beliefs are a challenge, he is genuinely confused. For example, even when Nobunaga was showing tears for his dead companion, Gon is truly enraged because he never thought the True had the heart to cry. Also, the interaction with Frollo and Gon. Gon asks Frollo, how can he kill people that have nothing to do with him? This question from Gon doesn't even seem malicious. It was a genuine question. He tried to understand the truth. His expectation of himself to be that of his father's son is also another conflict he has. Throughout the story, he is met with the idea of inadequacy or not being good enough, to the point of going overboard, blaming himself in a situation he could not even prevent. His external problem lie with his dad and his society as a whole. His dad is the whole reason for his adventure. This figure he pictures so greatly in his head, but he never met. He felt like he had to become a hunter just like Jing. He felt like he had to beat Greed Island in order to earn his father's approval. The guilt of not living up to that is what he feels most of the story. His overall interaction with society is that of learning of the true nature of the world. On Whale Island, he had limited knowledge of the outside world. Society had people who he could not understand their true motives. It had rules that made it unfair for everyone. Though even with all these conflicts, he still has the most genuine smile. He can push himself forward to the unknown with full confidence. He is like a light in the group where the others can't just help but find themselves following suit. Killua's conflict comes from his fear from his brother and giving up. When posed with a threat he can't beat, he will flee. This idea came from his brother's needle. His fear of running away when Gon needed him most broke him, but through realization of his best friend was able to put the needle past him and overcome conflict. His place in the group now is to be the hand that will help in emergency. He will go up and beyond for his friends. Kurapika's deep-rooted conflicts come from his morality and responsibility. The idea of killing people, even people he hates, troubles him, while he feels like he has responsibility with avenging his clan. His external conflict with the Phantom Troop is a problem as well. He wants them to be brought to justice. This is where the idea of the chains came from. His idea of revenge is up in the air. Even when their lives were in his hands, he was still somewhat hesitant, even for a little, while trying to understand Uvo. His place in the story is someone whose conflicts will never truly end, as even if he kills the troop, he will still probably not be satisfied. Kurapika, more than ever, values his friends' lives over his lifelong revenge. Leorio, like many people, goes through the conflicts such as guilt and emotional conflict. Leorio finds himself being helped a lot, but is wanting to be independent. Leorio wants to be of help to all of his friends. He makes tons of mistakes but recovers himself in other ways. Even in the future, will contribute to help Kurapika on the Black Whale. His place in the story is a character who supports others on a human level. His level-headedness is extremely needed in this group. These four characters are all written to match the complex storytelling of Hunter x Hunter. The progress of storytelling with each arc is also thanks to the cast. Characters themselves better themselves in each arc with the common theme of moral complexity of said character. Gon's lack of distinction between good and bad and what interests him. This is an interesting way of writing a character that can kind of fit within Shonen Jump's image and still have his own distinct personality. To the beginning and to the end, Gon had changed it away to see something for what it truly is, rather than high expectation for something out of reach. To see that something or someone he idoled so much was just another person just like him. He can make mistakes just like everyone else. This kind of character writing is so nuanced that most people wouldn't even notice on their first read or watch. Since Yu Yu Hakusho, the evolution of Togashi's main characters have reached new heights because similar to his work, it's all progressive. It's constantly getting better. The themes, the villains, the conflicts are all progressive of a single manga. Throughout the years, Gon, Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio are all some of his greatest creations today. Killua's identity layer also deviates to the idea of moral complexity. The idea of being raised to be a killer but emotionally was just a child like Gon. Him battling his brother in the chairman election arc was finally him facing his family head on. Himself only knows his bounds, not his family. The conflicting identities allow him to be one of the most versatile characters in Hunter x Hunter, power-wise and character-wise. Kurapika is one of the greatest examples of revenge-based characters I've ever seen. It starts out with the kind of starter outline of getting revenge on the Phantom Troop for the murder of his clan. His definition of revenge is so gray, even he is not sure what he wants. By definition of his chains, he wants to chain them down and make them pay for their sins. However, when met with them, even more than killing them, is met with confusing anger as to why they would do it and how they could do it. How could these people murder people and just carry on with their lives like it did not affect them? He couldn't understand. No one can except the truth. These people are written in a way where they are clearly out of people's understanding. Much like murderers and criminals in our world, some cannot be understood. For example, like Joker, his actions would be that of a psychopath. The reasoning comes from a place of natural desires. No matter how inhumane it may seem, Even Crollo finds it difficult to express his motives into words. It's extremely convoluted and difficult to understand, but it is truly not black and white. People's ideas of pursuit and motives are all akin to them. Much like Crollo, Kurapika's key to understanding himself is his biggest challenge. His story is not completed, but I think with Wobble and Troop on board, the Black Whale will ultimately find that key to himself. Leorio is an example of realism. Realism being the viewpoint of seeing reality as it is. A more simplistic definition I could put it is a way of thinking that faces facts and kind of rejects the idea of imaginary or visionary aspects. He's a very in the moment type of character. He tends to play it safe, but is not afraid of danger. If it is something against his beliefs, he will act on courage alone. He, in my opinion, is a natural, normal character that works in balance with the other three. His place in the story is not over yet, and I'm sure we will get to see him shine in the successful or hopefully the Dark Continent. I think that's most of my basis, and I got my ideas across in this video. My main point is that these four kind of represent Togashi's improvement through characters and manga in general. These characters are my favorite to talk about in Hunter x Hunter. With a few scenes that they are all together, it really solidifies the core of Hunter x Hunter. I feel like Gon and Killua have had satisfying conclusions, but I really want to see Kurapika's and Leorio's in the future as well. Then hopefully we can see these characters all in one place one more time. That's all I have to say. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow me on socials. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.